believe that what you're receiving, even if it's a gentle nudge, the thing that you're receiving that makes you feel that, okay, maybe I need to do this. As much as you might be resisting it, thinking, I can't, what will happen? Who am I to do that? It is coming to you for a reason, because you're the one person that's going to be able to translate that through you into your work and into the world, and the world needs it. Don't judge it. Just let it come in. Don't let it be your chair that you're dragging. And sometimes maybe it'll take you longer than you want to make it a reality, but pay attention to it. You are more than you think you are. And you are a heroine, and you are on this transformative journey. And it's about getting the calls and listening to them. And I know that you're going to listen and do it and really help all of us in that process.
Hi, ladies. Now is the turn of a really good friend of mine. And I dare to say that because we know each other for, oh my God, I think it's 15 years now, 12 years, something like that. No, 15 years, 15 years. Oh my God. It's time passes when you are having fun. Susanna is an amazing woman. She's a heroine, and she takes the subject of the heroine to a higher level. And this is what we're going to be talking about today with her. For years, she helped organizations work through conflict, as well as inspire their employees to see a path for their selves as an organizational development consultant and executive coach. Eventually, she heard her inner voice, calling her to use this experience and skill set in a more personal and fulfilling way. Susanna published the award-winning You Are a Heroine, a retelling of the hero's journey, with a message for all women to wake up to their heroism. Yeah, that's you, ladies. Susanna believes every woman has had moments in her life that qualify as heroic. Today, Susanna's online course, blog, podcast, social community, and workshops touch thousands of women ready to hear their calling and take a leap towards the life they want to live. Susanna, I am so excited to have you today with us. Thank you for accepting the invitation.
Oh, Blanca, how wonderful to be here with you. Yes, thank you very much for including me in this stellar group of women that you have assembled here. It's amazing.
So exciting. So exciting.
Me too.
I know that your life has gone through ups and downs and moments of cocooning and self-reinvention. And maybe to tell us all of them is maybe too much, but I really like this story of how the last transition, how you move from organizational development consultant and executive coach to the heroine's journey. How did that happen? What happened within or without? I don't know.
Well, and as you read introducing me, it's always about listening to that inner voice. And sometimes I can hear it clearly, and sometimes it's got to keep nudging me. And that transition, I needed a lot of nudging, because I'm sure this has happened to you and other people listening. We get in our comfort zone. And for me, that was being an organizational development consultant. Even though it was challenging working with people in conflict, I was doing it for about 25 years and it felt good and I knew I was helping people. But all along, my passion, and my husband would call it my hobby, was helping women and helping women with empowerment. And I would offer workshops and on the side, still doing the consulting work. And I always thought eventually I'll do fully the workshops with women, but I just couldn't let go of the business of consulting. And I think that it's there. I know it is because of the coaching I've done with women. You think to yourself, you're like hovering over a threshold of making the leap into a different course. And you're thinking, I'll never make as much money. I'll lose my credibility. Who do I think I can do that? All those questions. But I finally did it. And what helped me do it was a couple things. I got a coach, and my coach, Jake Ballantyne, said to me, Susanna, it's like you're dragging a chair around behind you. You need to just make the leap. The chair is holding you back. I know. He actually got up and started dragging a chair around. And that visual was, oh my gosh, that is what I'm doing. And it's time. So I did it. And going to Hudson, the coaching school with you, that there were so many things that paved the way, but ultimately was, if not now, then when, Susanna? So I dived into it.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I don't know if you know this visual, or the audience will know this visual. You make me think about the movie of The Mission, when there is a story of the Jesuits going to, I think it's the Amazon, and going into a very, very selvatic region. And to get there, to get to the mission, the physical building, they needed to go up a waterfall. And one of these men used to be a soldier. So his chair was a big bunch of metal swords and shields. And I found it so perfect, because it's like the mission is there, and you think that to go there, you need something to defend yourself. And then you're climbing. So he's climbing in the movie with a lot of trouble. And he almost dies many times because of the weight.
Yeah.
Until he let go.
And it was 100% about letting go. And that makes you lighter, and you can go up to the top of the waterfall, right? It's just, it's an interesting process. And that's, to me, that's what makes us heroines, when we accept the call from within and hear that inner voice and answer it and make that leap. As scary and impossible as it might be, we do it. And that is what evolves us, right? It grows and develops us.
So you you were called to help women already for years. We were studying coaching in Hudson together. We were talking about female leadership 15 years ago. And a female leadership so much. And you chose this subject of the heroine's journey, which is fascinating.
Wow.
Did it find you? Or did you find it? How did that come?
Oh my gosh. So you and I went through part of Hudson together, but not the whole thing. And when, as you know, when you're in the course, you have to come up with a paper and a presentation about how you're going to use coaching. And it was kind of in the middle of the year. I had a couple months still, and I hadn't come up with my topic. And I was struggling with that. And at some point, a friend of mine said, Susanna, you need to go to Camden, Maine. I live in Maine, and Camden is a beautiful spot. And hear this woman talk about the hero's journey. And it was like, it's hot out there. It's the middle of the summer. Camden, I'd have to get on Route 1 with all the traffic. I don't want to do that. But my inner voice was like knocking. This is go, just do it. So I got in the car and I went. And that's when it found me. My world exploded. This woman, and here we are in this air-conditioned basement of the Camden Library, and the woman is explaining what the hero's journey is. And of course, it has always been mostly the hero's journey, because Joseph Campbell's sort of introduce the concept to the world. And so she was explaining how the Wizard of Oz and Dorothy's journey illustrates the hero's journey. And my work, I was always talking about Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, and in fact called that company that I started, the Women's Empowerment Company, Ruby Slippers, because what I always explain to women, the ruby slippers is our internal GPS. Our intuition can always, like the slippers she wore, get us to where we want to go. At any rate, this woman explained the significance of her trip to Oz and what happened there in the context of this larger framework, the hero's journey. And for me, it was like, this is my model. This is my coaching model. All women have to know this because they are on the hero's journey. But I quickly had to say, excuse me, women need to be able to relate to this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's the heroine's journey. And what's interesting, Blanca, is that more and more, there's a book that just came out this year, the beginning of this year, by Maria Tatar. I had to pull it out of my, The Heroine with 1,001 Faces, where our friend Joseph Campbell, many years ago, it was all the hero. And, all his examples, and both of them use literature to explain this pattern, archetypal, ancient pattern of how a human being evolves. It's been in literature for thousands of years, and both of them talk about it. He talks about it with all the male examples. She brings us the female examples, which other people have done too, but it's just so interesting. I think more and more, as the sacred feminine emerges more in the world, we're going to hear more about this.
Oh, wow. I get the goosebumps so much when you speak about this. It's so, so exciting. Mm-hmm. Just, the way I think of ourselves is that we are goddesses with amnesia.
Yes.
And we really need to remember who we are. Right. Really remember who we are.
Right.
Not that we don't need to be changed, modified, or improved, or empowered. It's just a matter of remembering.
Right. It's, the story about the fish swimming in the water, and two older fish come by and say, how's the water? And the younger fish, what water? And to me, it's like, we are swimming in this greatness, but for whatever reason, we've always tamped it down. We've always, it's easier for us to say, oh no, she's a heroine, or she's a heroine, not accepting it.
Oh God, this is exactly every Thursday I meet my group, my coaching group, and one of the women said, I was about to think, I am so lucky to be here where I am for being who I am, for being the person I am, like belittling herself. Yes. So that got us in an entire conversation that right. We should say, yeah, it is precisely for people like me. Yeah. But we should, say it with the lungs full of oxygen. I'm really proud that is women, people like we. Yeah, it's so important. I think we're on the edge of another threshold of being able to do that as women. And when you think being able to accept our greatness, our, to be able to be more, feel that empowerment. And I think back 100 years ago when women weren't able to vote. And even before then, they weren't even thinking about it, that was a possibility. And you kind of can see how maybe that's similar to where we are now. What, me great, me a heroine? Yeah, and so what I like to do is show them these are the steps of the heroine's journey. And the big step is listening to that call, and then, as scary as it might be, leaving a business behind or
whatever it is you have to let go of, if or going into, that takes so much courage because you're going into the unknown. And so that's a heroic endeavor. It doesn't mean you have to behead a dragon or all the things that we think are heroic. Just going into the unknown in whatever that is for you is heroic.
And this is where we are right now, historically, as before we press the button of recording, we were talking pandemic, wars, and there are personal issues, divorces, bankruptcies, people laid off. We are in this in-between space, in this, the moment of being called.
Yeah. Yeah.
How can we, because there is the refusal of the call.
It is.
How can we notice that we are called and that maybe we are refusing it? How can we notice that we are pulling this chair, that the attachment, because sometimes the attachment is so attached to us
that we don't even, like the fish in the water, it's just, we don't even know where we are. And to me, and I bet this happens for many people, if I'm getting a call to do something, it doesn't leave me. It just, I can even put it behind me for a couple of years, but then it will come back. And I guess, I don't know if this, I have a couple examples, but one is when I had to divorce my first husband. And I probably refused that call for 13 years until it just, I knew I had to do it, but I was so afraid. And to me, fear often is what keeps us in refusal. But if also you can get help. And so what I did, and it's silly to think about it, and it was quite a while ago, it was over 30 years ago for me, but my first step out was to go to a therapist, and I had never been to a therapist before. And I was ashamed to go to a therapist because to me, in my mind at that time, it was admitting I had made a mistake and there was something wrong with me. But I took that step and my world began to open up as to the possibilities. It's sometimes I think it's like, it's like a kaleidoscope that from a certain point on the path, you can only see this much, but then you take a step and then you can see more. And that was my way slowly out. And in the chair example, I said, okay, well, I'm a coach, but I need help here. I don't know what I had written my book as well, and I didn't know what my next step was. I should get a coach, so getting help is a big way to get rid of the chair, know that you're carrying a chair. Because
it's so big, this is so big. When we do not, when we try to be stoic and do it by ourselves, we are not really being a stoic. We are like, Ham's quote is, not asking for help is not giving up. Asking for help is not giving up, is refusing to give up. Yeah. And I have the same pattern in my life. Whenever I went and got a coach or a therapist or went to a retreat, things happen. It's so important.
Right. And so I feel compelled to say, not only in my mind is it important to think help in the form of what we can see, but also spiritual help, whatever that is for you, to know that you can ask for help from the universe or a God, a spiritual guide. Wayne Dyer had a thing he'd say, it's like choosing to turn on the light switch in a dark room. You don't have to turn it on, but asking for spiritual help is like turning on that switch and having more light to guide you on your journey.
Oh, beautiful. It is so important. So important, ladies. So if you're feeling these these feelings that you are called to the unknown, just go for help. You know what you're saying reminds me the Skill Helper, wonderful book that we both read in Hudson. There was a quote there that forever stuck with me. Help helps. And it doesn't matter if he's a girlfriend or a psychiatrist or a priest or a rabbi or a tree. Trees help me a lot, but it helps. So I guess this is the refusal of the call and taking the call. And we take the call and then we enter into the unknown.
Right.
There is a lot to talk about it, but if you can give us an introduction of what happens in the heroine's journey after we take the call.
So if I were to talk about it at a high level, and you kind of, when you were asking me a question, you said you've had your ups and downs, Susie. And that's what happens. I mean, you're out there on this new journey. Maybe it's a new job for you, or maybe you've moved, or some big change in your life. And there are ups and downs. Good things happen, bad things happen. You meet people that help you, and you meet people that don't so much help you. And there are blind alleys and wrong turns, and you have to navigate it. And I'm the one who's always saying that's where your intuition, your internal ruby slippers will always help you. You can end up in something that we call the belly of the whale. And that's based on an old story that Jonah was swallowed by a whale. And it's to me, for the journey language and understanding, it's when you get those moments when you're turned upside down, that the rug is pulled out right from underneath you. And an example for me was I've had many leaps in my life, and I had left a big corporation with another woman going into partnership in a business. And about 6 months in, she said, I don't want to be your partner anymore. And that was, oh my gosh, disaster. And it ended up being so good for me because I did it on my own and proved something to myself. But that was a belly of the whale moment. And when you think about it, that's how change happens. Because if life just leaves us alone, we tend to just, okay, we're good. But if we're picked up and shaken and turned upside down, then it forces us to see things differently. And so you want those belly of the whale moments. And another thing that happens is you meet dragons on the journey as you're out there on the road of adventure. And the dragons are those deep-seated fears that maybe we've had as children. And one of mine I always talk about was, I can't do it by myself. I had very protective parents. And so journeys will bring up those old things that are helpful and necessary for us to look at. So all kinds of things happen, but it's all about evolving us and transforming us, which is why, to your point, listen for those calls and take them as ominous, or you might think them are challenging. Joseph Campbell's quote is, if you take one step toward the gods, they will take 10 steps towards you. You will get help.
I didn't know this quote. It's beautiful. They always, the thing that I heard several times is that you have to meet God in between. And all these jokes, no, that God saved me. And there's the person who comes and save you and you say no. And the person comes and save you and you say no. And you go to heaven. And God, why didn't you save me? Well, I sent you several people and you never listen. But I love your quote because it's not meeting God in the middle. It's just taking a little step.
Right, right.
And God will do 10 times what you do.
Right.
It's
right.
so powerful.
And it's so much about believing in yourself. So when that voice keeps speaking to you, do this, leave that the marriage. And, you know, it's finally, you have to believe that you're getting this inner guidance and to follow it. And then it gets stronger. The more you follow it, your intuition grows even more.
Yeah. I think that these historical moments are calling us, all humans, to develop the quality of discernment. But possibly even for women more, because we have been hidden and we have been forgotten, and or the feminine, the quality of the feminine has been hidden, forgotten. How can we improve our discernment when we are in that moment? Moments, I think discernment is very useful in these three moments of the call, of the belly of the whale, of the when you find the dragon. How can you improve your discernment, your decision making under uncertainty?
So that's a big question.
Yeah.
And what I do to help people with that, and myself, is one thing I do, and I'm sure so many people listening do the same thing, is I journal. And I journal in the format of Julia Cameron, The Artist's Way, which is a stream of consciousness journaling to see what comes up to get guidance. I also am a follower of people that use the non-dominant hand as a way to connect with your inner knowing and your intuition to see, what does my non-dominant hand have to tell me? And that's Lucia Capaccioni wrote a book, The Power of Your Non-Dominant Hand. These are all things that I do in my workshop with women that I coach. And, you know, I did so much strategic planning. I have a way to do strategic planning using your intuition to discern what's next. So the navigating, you're right. I mean, it is hard to discern. And how do you know it's your voice and what you should do and what not what the world is telling you to do? And I think it's about having practices that help you go within, have a meditation practice, have a journaling practice, so you get used to hearing another voice other than what people, your mother used to tell you or
Yeah.
whatever, you
Yeah.
know. It's something you develop over time.
Yeah. It's really a gym. It's really a gym. I really love it. That
Yes.
is a series of practices to listen to yourself. We have learned to be disconnected from ourselves, and it's time to change that. It's absolutely time to change that.
But I think also, Blanca, what you're doing with your group of women, I mean, that kind of connecting with like-minded souls, so that when you say something, someone is, yes, you know, they resonate with it. So you feel like you're not alone, and you know that there are other people similar to you that can give you guidance and help you and support you on your way. I think women supporting women is very important right now.
Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah, this is a big one because oh God, look, my mother was really difficult, and she was a schizophrenic, so it was difficult in a big serious way. And because of that, she pushed us, or even my sister and me, to be separate, to fight against each other. Then I was in a school just of girls school. So much verbal violence, gossip, innuendo, bullying. So I grew up being afraid of women. And many of my customers tell me, I am afraid of women. And with my work, I've been learning myself to love my sister, to love my mother, to love other women. But I must tell you that there is, I call it the 100 blankets inside. Some of my blankets are still afraid of women. What would be your, I don't know, a question or a practice or a perspective that could help us to conquer this fear and go more into sisterhood?
Because I think what you're talking about, I think that women, we do have a tendency to compare, right? And then if you're comparing with, oh, I'm not as pretty as she is or as smart as she is, I need to show her by being, I mean, it's that whole comparing thing, right? And yeah, I mean, it's easy to say, don't compare, be authentic, you need to be yourself, but it's hard to do that when, particularly if you're being attacked and bullied. So boy, advice would be to learn how to love yourself and love yourself even more. And to me, where that might be useful. So just in doing more things online and having to look at myself and video myself, initially when I did that, it was like I couldn't bear to look at it. And what I've realized is, Susanna, in not loving you, you're not helping yourself or helping anybody else. In other words, that child is still inside of you. How you treat yourself is how you treat others. We just have to learn how to treat ourselves better. And I think if we do, then it helps us deal with the people who aren't being nice to us and help us, make the boundaries. And if we talk about energy, the more you love yourself, you're raising your energy higher. And those people just aren't even going to be around.
Yeah, it's so true. It is so true. That's been happening since I've been practicing self-love.
Yeah.
It's just like disappear. The bullies disappear.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why they say the world you see is a reflection of who you are. I mean, the more you are loving, and that starts with loving of yourself, then the more of a loving surrounding world you'll see. And I know we're saying that, you just mentioned before that, war is happening. But what we have to do, I think, is be the bright lights that we are, and that affects the people around us, and that's going to spread. I mean, look at what you're doing. You are causing something to spread, love and light, because of what you're doing.
Yeah, that is so exciting. It is so exciting. This started years ago when I got pregnant of my 9-year-old daughter. I was so confused. What can I do? I am pregnant. I cannot work. That was my idea. So the person told me, why don't you interview the people experts in pregnancy? And I answer to you. I found the idea fantastic. I sent an email saying, I'm just a pregnant woman. I know nothing about pregnancy and medicine. Can I interview you? And I created a summit.
Yeah.
So that happened 9 years ago. And that proved to me that people are people and people are loving. And there is a lot of compassion.
Right. In all my years of organizational development work, I did so much with conflict, and people who are fighting come together, a team, maybe they haven't been speaking to each other, and initially nobody wants to talk, nobody wants to open up, and then somebody is brave enough to share something, and that helps other people understand them better, and you can feel the feeling in the room changes as people slowly begin to open up. And I think that's part of it, is those women who were mean to you were either jealous or afraid, or, so finding ways, forums to get together and talk and get to know each other opens up ways to love each other better.
Absolutely. And it's the fact of daring, take action. You take action. That one person who dare to speak up, dare to say, I don't understand. I'm sad. I'm angry. Dare to just be. Yeah.
That takes enormous courage, particularly in a group that's been fighting, but it's Brene Brown's work about allowing yourself to be vulnerable, that really didn't feel good to me, and I needed to tell you that, and can we talk about it, and it can open up all kinds of doors of
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah. Oh, you make me think of my husband today. My poor husband has his mother in the hospital. And I wanted to buy a lamp this morning. So I asked him, do you like this lamp? And he was furious.
Oh,
And then I thought, oh my God, is it my fault? What did I do? Are you angry at me? It's too expensive. It's not your style. And then I kindly asked him, you change your behavior from the moment I ask you about the lamp. And then the self-awareness started. Well, I'm actually worried about my mother, which
yeah,
made all the sense. And this
right,
it stopped being, for me, the lesson was to stop being in the center, thinking that his reaction is because of me.
right.
And and this is important for the, well, again, the historical moment that we're living. We don't know how the other person is feeling.
Right, right. And we don't know what they've got going on with their mother or father or children or yeah.
Uh, yeah. Oh, it's so beautiful. So beautiful leadership in this on the heroine's journey.
Mm,
So powerful.
mm.
So powerful. So uh, as you know, 15 years knowing you, I'm so delighted to talk to you for forever, for the rest of my life. We need to start closing. Susanna, you are the expert on the heroine journey. You run this school for heroines. I would love you to use your intuition and imagine all the heroines on the other side of the, in the audience, the other side of the screen. What is that nugget that they must listen? They must get into your heart before we say goodbye.
Mm. Believe that what you're receiving, even if it's a gentle nudge, the thing that you're receiving that makes you feel that, okay, maybe I need to do this. As much as you might be resisting it, thinking, I can't, what will happen? Who am I to do that? It is coming to you for a reason, because you're the one person that's going to be able to translate that through you into your work and into the world, and the world needs it. Don't judge it. Just let it come in. Don't let it be your chair that you're dragging. And sometimes maybe it'll take you longer than you want to make it a reality, but pay attention to it. You are more than you think you are. And you are a heroine, and you are on this transformative journey. And it's about getting the calls and listening to them. And I know that you're going to listen and do it and really help all of us in that process.
Oh, how beautiful. Oh, how beautiful, how beautiful. Definitely what you said spoke to me. I think we're all in this process of transformation, and we are all called to be more authentic, more real.
Right.
We're in a kind of leveling up of authenticity and courage.
Well,
Oh,
here you
Susanna,
are, you're doing
thank
it.
you so
So,
much.
I mean, you're the perfect
Yeah,
example. Thank
yeah.
you. Thank you
Thank
for
you so
honoring
much.
the sacred feminine and for gathering us all with you. So just, it's been fantastic. Thank
Oh,
you.
Susanna, I'm so happy. Ladies, I am so happy with how things are going, and having Susanna here. Thank you. We continue in the conference, and well, thank you. Did you enjoy this? Here is a selection of other videos that I feel you will love. And please don't forget to subscribe, to like, and to share. Love and light.